Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to create a to-do app in Django, and we're going to probably have a couple of videos on this. So in the first one we're just going to get it working. It'll look pretty rough and ready, and then in subsequent videos we'll have a look at the HTML and CSS and get it looking a bit nicer. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to bring up a PowerShell. And first things first, if you haven't already, you're going to need to install Django. So pip install Django, give that a go. So I've already got it installed, as you can see there. And once we've done that, we're going to start a project in Django. So we just use this command here, Django admin start project to do project, and that'll just give us the directories and files that we need. We run that, takes a little second, and then next we're going to go into next we're just going to open that up in VS Code. There we go, give it a minute and you should get VS Code open here. And you can see we have some files here that Django has created for us. Okay, move that to the side. Let's go into that directory, and then we're going to do python manage.py run server, and this just runs a development server so we can keep track of what changes we're making and see how it will look to the user. So it takes a little moment, but you see we've got starting development server at HTTP 127.0.0.1 and port 8000. So if we just go to that in our browser, make this smaller, so we can actually just go localhost 8000, and we see the Django welcome screen. Okay, so we'll come back to that later. But for now, we're going to create our first app. So we'll just open up another PowerShell, so we don't have to stop that server from running. And we're going to python manage.py again, start app to do app. So within our project, we can create apps, which just create is where we're going to store all the code for the functionality of just one thing. So in this section we're going to just have everything to do with our to-do list. So in this project we won't really have any other apps, but in other projects it makes sense to logically split them up. What have I done there? Oh, we're not in the right directory. We need to go to do project, and then we should be able to run that command. There we go, and you see in VS Code it just created this to do app here with some files in it as well, which we'll have a look at in a second. Okay, next thing we're going to do is create a folder to put our HTML templates into. So make dear templates. That's just going to give us this folder here, and now we're ready to start coding. So within templates, let's create a file called todolist.html, which is going to be what our user sees. So we'll have a title, and it's just going to be my to-do list. Okay, if we save that, so at the moment we haven't told Django where to go when the user wants to see the base page or the home page, so we need to add a few bits as well. So first things first, we're going to go to views within to do app, and a view is basically what connects the URL to the template. So going to define, well, it tells the tells the web app what to do when the user goes to that URL. So in this case, the user is going to give a request. We're just going to return render, which is a built-in function with Django that we can return the request, and to-do list.html, just our HTML page to the user. Okay, so we need to actually put into URLs that when the user goes to a certain URL, we want to return that function basically. So we'll say when they go to the URL to do app, we want to return the to do app view that we've just created. Okay, we're also going to need to import that. So that was from to do app dot views, and oops, sorry, I've named this wrong. That should be to do app view. So let's save that, and then let's just change it in our views to do app. Okay, the other thing we need to tell Django is where to find this template. So if we go to our settings, we can scroll down until we see templates, and then in this tiers part, we're going to say os.path.join our base tier, which is just the directory of our project with templates that we created. Okay, and then we're going to have to import OS as well. And the last thing we need to do is we created this new app to do app, so we need to put it into the installed app. So there's some here by default, but we'll need to just put to do app in there. Okay, save that, and now if we have a look here, you can see each time we've saved things, the server has restarted. So if we go to our web browser now, localhost 8000 again, refresh that, and we're getting a page not found. So let's see what we've done here. Oh, that's because we need to go to the URL to do app, and there we go. Okay, so we get to the home page. So the URL which the user goes to has to be defined in this file URLs here, which is where we put to do app. Okay, so at the moment we could change that just to that, and then what I done would work, but let's just keep it as to do app. Okay, so next thing, we want the user to be able to save and delete items. To do so, we need to store those in a database, and what we do to store things in a database is create a model. So that's Django's way of saving things to a database. So we're going to create a class of to-do list item, and this is just going to be the item that the user saves, deletes, and it's going to inherit from models.model, a class that we get from Django, and all we're going to have is just content, which is models.text field. Okay, and that's where the user is going to put text that is in the to-do item. You could have more fields here, but we're just going to have one. Now, whenever we make changes to the database, we need to run this command so that Django restarts the database basically. So python manage.py make migrations, and it'll tell us what it's going to change. So it's going to create a model to-do list item, so we just want to apply that by doing python manage.py migrate, and there we go. That's all went through okay. So now we want to actually create the to-do list. So we want to go back to views and import this model that we've just created to-do list item, and in this view we're going to now pass the template our to-do items. So we're going to create a variable all to-do items, and that's going to be to-do list item dot objects dot all. So that's going to get every to-do item that's in the database, and we're going to return the same template, but this time we're going to add in a dictionary. This is called context, so it allows us to pass things to the HTML document. So we're going to say all items, and that's going to be our all to do items. So we can refer to it as all items in the HTML document now, and we'll get that object back. Okay, next thing, if we go back to our template now so that we can display these items. So in our template we're just going to add a list, and we're going to use the curly bracket and percentage sign to do a for loop for I, or let's call it for item, in all items, which is what we passed in the context. So there we go, and we're just going to create a list item with item dot content, which is the field that will have the text in it. Okay, and underneath this list item we're going to end the for loop. Okay, we can save that. And also just below this we want a form so that the user can add more items to the to-do list. So let's create a form. The action is going to be add to do item, and that's a view and URL that we'll need to create, but we'll do that afterwards. And the method is just going to be post. Okay, you just need to add this thing in Django for forms, CSRF token, that basically stops cross-site scripting. And we're going to have input, type of text, and this will have name, content. So that's where the user is going to put the to-do item, and then we also need a submit button. Oops. Don't know why this isn't being recognized. Oops. Oh well, we're just going to have to manually do it at the moment. So we want type submit, and value is going to be add to do item. Okay, and hopefully that should work. I'm not sure why it wasn't recognizing it. So we save that, and now we need to add in our views. Sorry, no. At the moment, if we view this in the browser, we should be able to see the form, even though we can't submit it. So let's refresh in there. Oh, and it looks like our server has stopped. So let's have a look there. So when the server tried to refresh when we made changes, something's gone wrong. Cannot import to-do list item from to-do app.models. Let's have a look at that. I've probably misspelled something. So if we go to models, so where are we trying to import that? We're trying to import it into views. So to-do list item. Let's have a look in models, and we have to do with a capital. So let's change that. And then double check in views, to do list item, to do list item. Okay, that should be working now. So if we go back to PowerShell, and you can see it started now fine. So let's go here, refresh, and we see the form. So at the moment that form won't work, but let's add a view so that it will. So we need to go into views, and we're going to define add to do view request. Okay, we're just going to set a variable x, which is going to be the content. So request.post, oops, can't spell, post content, and then we're going to create a new item, to do list item, where our content is going to be x, so what the user passed into the form, and then we're just going to new item.save, and that will save it to the database. Once that's done, we want to return the user, so we're going to use a function called http response redirect. We're just going to redirect the user back to the home page, so we need to import that as well. So let's say from Django.http import http response redirect. Okay, last thing we need to do is add this view to the paths or the URLs. So we want path add to do item, which is the path that the form calls, and that's just going to use the view add to do view, and we need to import that here as well, add to do view. Okay, if we save that, hopefully if I've not made any typos, we refresh in here, looks like it's stopped working. Oh no, the server was just starting again, so there we go. And let's add wash car, add to do item, and we see it coming up in the list here. Let's do clean dishes, add to do item, and again it comes up. Okay, so at the moment we've got a way to add items but no way to delete them, so we're going to end up with having loads of things to do. So the next thing we need to do is try and add a delete button. Let's go back here and let's go to the HTML first, and after the item we want to have a delete button after every item. So form with the action delete to do item. We'll need to add this to our URLs again, but this time we're going to have i.id. Okay, I'll explain that in a bit, but it's basically just telling Django which item to delete from the database, or that's what it's going to do, but you'll see how that will be used. The method is going to be post, and again, because it's a form in Django, we need the CSRF token. Oops. And then the only thing we're going to have here is an input, type submit, and the value is going to be delete. Let's save that. So in our URLs, like I said, we need to add that delete to do item. So we'll add a path delete to do item with int I. So this is how it's going to be passed now to our view, which is delete to do view. We'll create that in a second, but it's going to be passed as I, and we're just telling Django that it's an integer that it's passing on. Okay, I know we've not created that yet, but let's just import it before we create it. I'm doing this in the wrong order, but delete to do view, and now let's go to views and create it. So what we want here is another view, called it delete to do view, request and I, which is the ID of the item. So even though in our model we only specified content, Django by default gives everything an ID as well. So we're just going to say y is equal to the do list item dot objects dot get ID equals I, and then we're going to just delete that object. Finally, we're going to use this function again, HTTP response redirect to do app, and that's going to take the user back to the home page, and hopefully it'll have deleted the item they clicked delete next to. So let's double check that that has worked. So if you refresh in here, okay, so the server it's just taken a while to start. There we go. So here we go. If we delete that, okay, let's have a look at this. Request URL, delete to do item. Okay, so you see here there's 2 backslashes. It's not got the ID, so what's gone wrong there? So let's have a look in URLs. So we have this int I. Let's have a look in the part here. So delete to do item I.id. Oh, okay, sorry. We need item.id. Our object is called item. So we save that now. Just wait while it reboots here. Oh wait, no, sorry. It's not going to reboot because we've only saved a template. So let's double check that that has worked now. We refresh. Oops, we're going to have to go back to do app. Try deleting now. Again, page not found. Let's have a look. Okay, so we need a backslash after this int ID, I think. Let's just double check if that solves the issue. URLs, we should have a backslash here. Sorry, a forward slash, and hopefully that's now fixed it. So it's just reloading the server. Let's give that a second. There we go, and hopefully we've managed to debug it now. To do app, delete, and there we go, that's gone. And so is that. So let's try adding a few more things, just some random bits and bobs. So you see it's adding each of these, and then if we try deleting this one that starts AS, that's the one that's gone from the list. Okay, so there we have it, fully functional to-do list, even though it looks pretty ugly. In the next video, I'll be adding to the HTML and CSS to make this nice looking, and we'll maybe even put some JavaScript in. Might leave that for a third video to get some animations and things. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, it really helps out, and let me know if you want to see any other videos in the future. Thanks.